Welcome back to another episode of Let's Finally Grow. I'm your host, Ariana, and we're growing. We're growing. Yeah, we're growing. Let's finally. But in order for us to grow, I think we really need to worry about who we surround ourselves with. It is that important who you surround yourself with. And honestly, I feel like I didn't know that for majority of my life, like most things I talk about on here. There was a large portion of my life I thought a whole different way, had a whole different perspective. I changed my perspective and my life changed drastically for the better. So if you're ever wondering, why we're all here together, that's it. That's a huge part of it. But who you surround yourself with is so fucking important. And I see it talked about, but not enough. And when I look back and think about a younger Ariana, so naive, wanting to be everyone's friend, wanted to be everything to everyone, I feel sorry for that girl. I know her intentions were pure, but she was really not taking care of her life. We're going to get into like how this applies to different aspects and why the fuck it matters. Okay? It matters because we're growing, okay? Settle down. Let's grow finally. Okay. So, I am talking about every single person in your life that you give your energy to or you take their energy from. Like when it comes to friendships, I would get myself into any friendship. I just wanted to be friends with everyone. I literally just thought, okay, well, like if I can be friendly and nice to people, why can't they be friendly and nice back to me? Plot twist, Ariana, motherfucking plot twist, you stupid bitch. That is not how life works. I've had so many different types of friendships in my life, and I've had friendships where they definitely didn't like me. And I took it personally as there was something wrong with me to not be liked. And it really was that they just weren't my cup of tea. They weren't my people. Let's say it that simply. But also, these people may not have liked something in their life or something about themselves, and there was no room for them to even like someone else if they're not going to like them. So I don't have to take it personally, but I certainly do not need to keep those people in my life or attract more people like it, because it really does fucking matter who you surround yourself with. When I think about these friendships, I remember a version of myself that like had constant anxiety. Like I said, literally thought something was wrong with me. And that energy of them not liking themselves and me feeling like they didn't like me would rub off on me and make me feel like I didn't even like myself. And it's difficult. It's difficult because it's almost unbelievable that just, interacting with someone can affect you that deeply. But there's more that meets the human eye. There's energy, and energy does not lie. Like, boom. That is no crazy awakening. We all know, like we all feel fucking energy, and you got to protect the energy that is in your field. Like that is one of the most important things you have to do. So if you do have friends in your life that are making you feel less than or are always negative, you can't go to these people and tell them good news about yourself. Cut the fucking ties. It seems like it's going to be such a hard thing to do, but your life is going to be so much more enjoyable when you no longer have that energy in your space. Now, when it comes to dating, as I learn more about myself, I recognize what I can and cannot handle in dating. And I really am at a place where I feel like the last good relationships that I had with men have been because we prioritize being friends. Like, above anything, we just treated each other as friends. So I find that to be something that makes sense and something that totally works. And I can talk about that deeper in another episode. But that is why I can't do the like casual, no emotion hookups, because you are trading energy. At some degree, you are taking value out of this situation because you are giving energy, your body, intimacy, connection to another person. You need to be so careful about who that other person is. Like, I can't go and have a casual hookup with someone that like I can't be friends with. And it is like, it is something that I feel like is crazy in this culture, but it really isn't, because there is such a large culture of people just hooking up, and it's like no strings attached, no emotions get involved. But how does that work? That's not adding any value to your life. That's not helping you grow in any capacity. That is literally keeping you stuck at a certain level of being like, yeah, we had sex. Like, there's a person there. There's a human that's there. And like, no, energy fucking matters. Who you surround yourself with. That, like, if there's someone that feels this way, I never have, and I don't think I ever will. Any times that I have had casual hookups were usually when I was going through something where I couldn't even entertain emotion in my life. And then those casual hookups dwindle out because one side always winds up wanting something if someone doesn't want something. So it always gets fucking complicated. But so I had to work through those emotions to be able to go and have more than something that was just quote unquote casual. But now I'm at a place of my life where I really am understanding the impact of like other people's energy on my life, in my field, in my realm, in my circle. And there's so many reasons why, whoever you're sleeping with, whoever you are allowing into your body, that person, you need to make sure that person like can be a friend to you, wants the best for you, even if it's not them. Like, like that person thinks so fucking highly of you, because otherwise, in return, you're not going to feel highly about yourself. Like that is a fucking fact. And in this hookup culture, roster culture that we are living through, so many people are having or trying to have meaningless sex. And I'm not shaming any of it at all. You do what works for you. But I'm speaking from my perspective. Who I have in my life matters too much. I'm not going backwards. Like, I am not going to have friends or any kind of dating experience that would require me to shrink to a lower version of myself to be able to have them in my life. Does that make any sense? Because I feel like sometimes we can't find the words to like actually express what we're even feeling. And we know that in order to be friends with this specific person, that, we can't talk about the good things in our life, or we need to be very protective of their feelings, or, like we can't be too extra around that person because they might get annoyed. Or if it's like a dating scenario, you think like, okay, I can't show my emotions too much, or I can't rush them into anything even if I feel emotional, or, like you think these things in your mind and you try to give yourself strict rules to like keep these people in your life, but it's harming you. Like, what makes these people that aren't you, What makes their emotions and their presence more important than yours? Because if you're thinking about lowering yourself just to keep people in your life, you have to think about it in the other direction. These people wouldn't do the same for you. They wouldn't do better and try to like overcome whatever they're going through, or, become higher to match your frequency. So you're literally doing things for people that wouldn't do the same for you. And if it's, you shrinking yourself in any capacity, like they wouldn't have to shrink themselves. They wouldn't have to harm themselves. They would just have to grow a little bit more to then be where you are. And I think that we think these things, but we don't talk about it. And it just is like an unspoken way that we feel inside that we just try to normalize to keep everyone happy, when there is another solution. It's remove. remove. And I think that life, from my experience, anytime that like I remove people out of my life, I feel like I grow, I learn, and people come in my life that are at the frequency that I'm at, that, think more like me, have done some more work on themselves. Like a loss is a loss in a way, but it's never really a loss. Like, we just got to keep it moving, live and learn, protect our fucking energy. And of course, this applies to your workplace. Like, without being said, the people you work with and your management, whatever it is, they impact the way you feel about yourself. So if you're working with people that are making you feel like shit, you're devaluing yourself. You are shrinking. You are like, it's just not good. And this really does apply to family too, which I know is like one of the most difficult ones. Like, because you have the same blood as people, you feel like you owe them the world, or you at least owe them your attention. But if something is shrinking you, if something is taking up your mental space and not in a good way, I don't care who it is. I know I'm cutthroat, but I'm cutthroat, but there's also a side to it where I'm not telling you to cut people out of your life for fun. It's actually a pretty difficult thing to do. And I'm also not telling you to do that. I'm telling you, take my advice and you do what the fuck you want with it. I'm telling you, there's options out there that you don't have to stay put with the same bullshit that you have been dealing with. And if you haven't been feeling great about yourself, it might be because you need to do some work and not surround yourself with the people you have been. And just giving another explanation to it, Like I said, we don't talk about it enough. And another way to look at this too is like, these people that are in your life that aren't making you feel good, that you feel like you need to alter yourself and become a less version of or whatever it is, they're draining you. They're probably using you in some capacity. And like, that to me is offensive. Like, when I think about it and I try, because I'm a very understanding person to a fault, and I sit there and I have empathy and I'm like, oh, well, they're just, they're going through something, they don't have it easy or whatever the fuck it is. And then I think about it. I'm like, oh, I'm being compassionate to a person who I think, may be having a hard time. This person doesn't think twice about using me from whatever they need to gain. So like, I'm being compassionate and they don't have compassion. It's going to be a no. The math is not fucking mathing. It's not adding up. And I'm going to see myself out. I'm going to find the door and I'm going to fucking rock out of here. Rock out with my out. What, Ariana? I don't know. I was going to say after that, I don't know. I feel very zen today. That's what you say when you feel zen, Ariana. Go get help. This is maybe why people aren't in your life. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We laugh so we don't cry. I do think that people can hold two places in your life. People can bring you down or they can help you expand. So when I think about any relationship in my life, is it making me smaller or is it helping me grow? Ultimately, we all want to grow. That's why let's finally grow. Like, right? Like, I don't even need to say more on that one. So if you look at every relationship in your life through these lens and think, is this relationship helping me grow, create better outcomes, live in a better life? Or is it making me feel like a smaller version of myself? That's an easy way to figure it out. That is an easy fucking way. It's a scary way because then once you notice it, you can't unsee it. But that is such a good tool to see who you should be putting your time and energy into. You know, even if like you have people in your life that are making you smaller, maybe you don't want to cut them out of your life. You're not in the karate chop, get the fuck out mode. Like you still care about these people. You still want them in your life. That is okay, because just because they're not growing now doesn't mean they'll never grow. And you don't need to burn a bridge because you just never know. And if you really like that person, but you do need to limit your interactions and set boundaries to a point that keeps you feeling good and doesn't alter your energy. But when it comes to dating, if it's making you smaller, you got to fucking run from the hills. You have to stop negotiating your energy with someone that's making you smaller in dating. That is just like that is a no. It's a no. It's a no in my book. And if you are at a place of your life where like you are working through things, you're working through emotions, you can't give your all to someone else when it comes to dating, there's nothing wrong with that. I have been there before, and like I've had those situations where someone wanted something from me that like I couldn't give. And I think as long as you're honest with yourself about that, which not everyone is, they're really, really not, because they want to have their cake and eat it too. There's nothing wrong with that. And like if you tell people like, this is all I can offer right now, something casual, whatever, and another person's okay with that, that's okay. But like there probably will be a time where the other person eventually isn't okay with that, because that's just how life works. People have emotions, they catch feelings, shit hits the fan. But I know myself, and that I see that I am at a place where like I'm figuring out my emotions. Like I'm not running from them anymore. So when it comes to dating, I'm not interested in one of those situations where I'm shrinking myself in any capacity just to have someone around. We live in a world where ego is everything, and like egos are so fragile, and we throw ourselves in these situations that are just going to like literally destroy our egos. We're like, ooh, there's a fire. That's going to kill me. Let's just throw my ego in there. Like, let's see, maybe the fire will go out on its own. Sometimes that happens. They just like vanish and disappear and like poof, you know? And then we're surprised when the ego is fucking tarnished, because fires do not go out on their own. So what I'm trying to say is, if we have to deal with our egos, which we do, we have to live with our egos, we need to stop putting ourselves in these situations again and again that destroy our egos. We have to be real about what we want, and then not put ourselves in these situations that are less than that, expecting better outcomes, expecting different outcomes, because that is not the way life works. If you put yourself in a situation where someone, you know, doesn't see your worth, or is draining you, or is using you, or doesn't like themselves and like doesn't like you, like whatever the dynamic is, and you can sense it, you can feel it, because we're not idiots. We know, and we call it confusion, but we know our answers. And then you are upset because you feel like shit, and you went in that situation for as long as you could, and went back as many times as you could back to it, and now you feel like shit about yourself. It's your fault for putting yourself in that situation time and time again, like, or in general, you know? And I think, I'm not saying like it's your fault, fuck you, you're a little bitch. I'm saying like you have to take accountability for it to get better, and you have to recognize that you can't just throw your ego into a fire. Like, not everyone that comes into your life deserves a seat at your table. I saw that quote recently and I just fuck with it. And it may not be an easy thing to navigate, but like, you know what's more difficult? Being in those situations time after time and not growing yourself and then having a sad story and bitch about something because like it's just not going your way. Cut motherfuckers loose, okay? Cut them loose and keep it moving. And a friendly reminder, as I say all of this, it's usually inspired by things that I've gone through. Not usually, it's always inspired by things that I've gone through. So I am no better than anyone. I have thrown my ego into the fire so many times. I'm like, fuck that shit. This time that fire is just going to go out on its own. This is the time. And then nope. Then we have to, take our ego into surgery, let it heal, give it down, like all the process of rebuilding that shit back up. It is not cheap. It is a fucking price to pay when you put yourself in situations that are making you feel less than, making you shrink, whatever it is. And that is why it is so important who you surround yourself with. It does matter. Okay. Well, thank you all for showing up today and taking this time out of your day to listen to me and whatever I just said. I hope it helps a little. And yeah, reach out with any questions, comments, or concerns if you have any. I'm sure you do. It's a safe place. I will talk to you soon. I love you for listening and giving me your attention out of your day. Let's do this again soon.